Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Chelsea Explain, as this is another Chelsea news video. And we have three players we're going to talk and discuss about, which is Garnacho, Broja, and Xavi Simons. So let's get into it immediately. And we got some story from Florian Plettenberg that we are still working on a deal for Xavi Simons. A verbal agreement is almost done. There's still a strong feeling that the deal will go through. Chelsea are ready to submit an official bid, but further player offloads are needed first. The Xavi Simons deal is currently independent of the Chelsea's interest in Alejandro Garnacho, so we definitely know for sure that we want to go for a backup for Cole Palmer, as well as a winger that is going to be a backup for Gittens. Now, I think the deal is taking time because we have to also offload players. We need to get personal agreements, which I think is done. And we also have to negotiate with Leipzig in terms of a fee. I think it's going to be quite expensive. But yeah, we're gonna have to offload players, and now we offloaded Broja, which we're gonna get into, so we're getting millions there. We're going to offload the likes of Sterling and Kunko. See what's gonna happen with Jackson. We have other also priority targets that we're going to offload ahead of them, but we basically have like 14, 15, maybe even 16 players to sell, and that's understandable because there's a lot of players that Maresca doesn't need here, and that simply isn't good enough. So we have spent so much money this transfer window that of course we're also gonna have to offload before we can strike a deal. There is always that slight risk. The more time you take on a transfer, some other club could come in and maybe hijack the deal. I can't say it's not going to happen, but I am quite sure to some certain extent Xavi Simons is going to be our player. And he has talked about before that Leipzig is not a club he's gonna stay in forever. So I think he's keen on the move. Otherwise, when will be the next chance to move on to a bigger club? It's the perfect chance for him now to come to us. We got some further hints and hidden sort of signs that Xavi Simons is going to be our player. It's coming from Fabrizio Romano, exclusive. Xavi Simons did not train with RB Leipzig group on Friday, which was yesterday, and he's not expected to be a part of the squad today in a preseason game against Atalanta. He has also removed Leipzig in his social media bias, which is also another sign of that he wants out. His decision is clearly oriented to Chelsea move after deleting Leipzig from Instagram bio. Negotiations at advanced stages between Chelsea and Leipzig, and sometimes certain transfer moves takes a bit of time. It's not gonna happen like immediately. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, and that's just normal. But we are in advanced stages. I think it's all about coming terms with a deal now, which could be around 60 million, maybe plus add-ons, etc. We're gonna have to pay minimum 60 million pounds. I know it's a lot of money, but Xavi Simons is a special player, and we need to strengthen our squad depth if we're going to have a chance of competing for every trophy that is possible. And Palmer can't single-handedly play every single game. That's not realistic. He needs some rotation option. and Nkunku is going to be moved on. So it's only natural we're looking for a quality player that can come in and fill maybe Palmer's position. Xavi Simons can also play as a left winger to some extent. Continues further from Romano. Xavi Simons has no injury or issues. He's out of today's game for clear desire to join Chelsea, which is really positive. So I'm fully confident that this deal is going to happen now in August. If it's happening tomorrow, I'm not sure, but it's only about coming to terms with an agreement now and offloading players. We're getting in money for Broja, which is much needed and it's going to help us struck a deal sooner rather than later. And when we're just talking about Broja, let's dive into some updates around him. The first one is from Fabrice Hawkins. Broja is already a Burnley player and had his first part of his medical completed today. It would be a long-term contract. I think it's a 5-year deal, and the striker is leaving Chelsea. Exclusive story confirmed. And there's some other story from Fabrizio Romano as well. Broja to Burnley on a permanent deal, follows Mark Yu to Sunderland on a loan deal, and João Felix to Al Nassr. And we don't have to dive into them deeper, but we have offloaded tons of players that is much needed, either that's going out alone, gaining desperate minutes for their development, or we're offloading players that is not needed for Maresca. He continues further. Chelsea won't stop with Nkunku and Sterling, also expected to leave this summer. Nico Jackson's situation still open. I think the fee that Burnley has paid for Chelsea, I read it's around 20, 22, maybe up to 25 million pounds. There are some reports reporting different fees, but I think that's a fair amount of money for Broja. I mean, honestly, we could have sold him for cheaper than that. So it's nice of Burnley to paying us a lot of money for Broja, and we can use that into Xavi Simons negotiations. Now Broja has had a quite unlucky career. He has had multiple injuries. I think he's torn his ACL and was out for a whole year for 2 seasons ago. He has had ankle problems as well, being out for a couple of months. We had tried to loan him out to Everton and Fulham to get minutes, but he hasn't got it there. And I think it's best for Broja to move on to a lesser club, get into a new, fresh environment where he can not restart his career, but he can turn a new chapter and sort of turn his career around, because he needs to get minutes, and I think he can do that at Burnley. And Broja has some nice qualities. Was literally our fastest player in Chelsea, faster than Mudryk when Sterling was here as well, and has fantastic movement. He had a decent loan spell at Vitesse and Southampton for a few seasons ago, and we thought he was going to be like the next Diego Costa here. But injuries kinda set him back in his development, and he's not gonna get consistent minutes here. So it's best for both him and us to move him on. He's a very likable guy and professional. A lot of players seems to like him. So it's unfortunate sometimes player careers going down the path of injuries, destroying their momentum. But I'm gonna follow him there and have an eye, and I'm gonna cheer on him and hope he does well. Staying in Premier League and being on the highest level is very important. The last player we're going to discuss is Alejandro Garnacho, and this is a story from yesterday, so I am quite late with this one, but I want to talk about Garnacho anyway and have a bit of discussion whether we need him or not. Fabrizio Romano mentioned that Garnacho is keen on joining Chelsea. It was his priority ever since January, and is still keen on the move this summer. Chelsea considering to bid later this month, in August for Garnacho, as said for weeks, and he's waiting for Chelsea as priority despite bids from abroad. There have actually been interest abroad. I read just for a few hours ago, as you can see here on screen, that Besiktas has also been interested and could potentially go and make a move for Garnacho. I mean, when you're waiting for a player to strike a deal, the more days it goes, the more things are unclear, uncertain. Other teams can come in and hijack and take advantage of the situation and struck a deal with a player. We saw what happened with Mohamed Kudus. We took too much time. We didn't have the money up front, and the Spurs took advantage of that and bought him. Now, I wouldn't personally be too sad whatsoever if Besiktas come in and hijack sort of Garnacho deal. It's not really a hijack, but they signing a player we have on our short list basically. Because yeah, we're gonna get into that very soon. The last report is also from Fabrizio Romano. Alejandro Garnacho is very keen on the opportunity to play Champions League football at the Bridge, and Chelsea will look at the opportunity later in the window if they complete the sales they want. So first of all, we need to complete sales to struck Xavi Simon's deal, and then depending on who and if we're selling players after that, an amount of money we can raise, then it seems like we could go in for Garnacho, but we're not completely desperate to get him immediately, and I wouldn't be that either. Listen, there's a lot of players that has had poor attitude, sort of weird behavior at Manchester United. Maybe it's just down to Man United in itself. I mean, the whole club has been on a massive decline for a decade. We saw Sancho having bad attitude there, Rashford as well, and some other guys. But we see Sancho was professional here at Chelsea, so it could be just Man United that is the problem. Maybe Garnacho, if we buying him, we're not gonna see this type of childish behavior that has been going on when he has played for United. But still, even if players is showing those type of behaviors, it still makes me quite questionable whether it's worth taking that risk. Because the last thing I want is players to not be professional. That's gonna have a sort of attitude. That's gonna try to steal Cole Palmer's penalties. That's gonna go out on nightclubs and do all this stuff. I don't want that. And I feel like I don't know if I can trust Garnacho. But if he's coming in, it's not like he's gonna start. He's gonna be a rotation option for either Gittens or João Pedro on the left hand side. Or maybe we have a plan to play Neto or Xavi Simons there. We don't know. But Garnacho is not going to be the first or the second option, I believe. So it's nice having him as a rotational player. I think we also can purchase him for a cheap fee because United is desperate to selling him. Let's say we're buying him for around 30-40 million. It's not too much. He's young, still gonna hold value. And if he doesn't perform, if he has poor attitude, we can move him on in January window or next summer. So, and it has been reports that the owners and the board has made a sort of behavior check on him, and they're not worried whatsoever. So do we trust what the board is saying here? But I mean, we fans have seen what the type of behavior Garnacho has had, but at the same time it could just be the Man United curse. Maybe he's get to turn a page when he joins Chelsea, being a club that is functional finally, and is in really good mood. He's on a upward trajectory that's going to improve and improve. Maybe that's gonna help Garnacho to change. I mean, he's still young. Some players are immature young age, and then they maturing bit by bit. I think him as a player, I mean, he has qualities, he has immense speed, can challenge players 1 versus 1 situation, and he's not afraid of taking shots whatsoever. And he's really good on the counter, moving behind the back line. So you can utilize him as a counter-attacking threat. Maybe we're leading 1-0, sitting back a little bit, you're bringing on when opposition is tired. So, I mean, if it's a cheap price, I mean, if it's really is a player Maresca has accepted and wants, I mean, let's give the benefit of the doubt. Things can change when you move to another club. But yeah, I'm still uncertain. I got questions. I don't know if his abilities would be enough. Personally, I would keep Tarek George. Tarek George bleeds blue. He's been so impressive in Conference League and those few occasions where he has received minutes in Premier League and Club World Cup. Scored a few goals, contributing with assist. Versatile, can play as a striker if needed, can play on the right and left wing. Challenges the opposition. And what I really like about Tarek George is his intelligent movement. He's being at the right place at the right time to receive a pass. And that helps us progress into the final third massively. He's a player that is difficult for the opponent to mark. I would rather keep him. He bleeds blue, homegrown. He's literally for free. Got fantastic attitude, seems like a light-hearted guy that doesn't cause any troubles whatsoever. But I assume he's gonna go out alone, and maybe that will benefit his career. But I just guess we're gonna sell him in the future anyway, because the owners is also looking to make profit. I think that's still kind of sad that we can't utilize what we also got in the academy that has quality and potential. But that's just me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you confident that we're gonna strike a deal with Xavi Simons soon? And how do you feel about that we're selling Broja? And how do you feel about us potentially going for Garnacho later in this video? Do you think his behavior and attitude is a problem, or do you think that could be resolved here at Chelsea? Let me know that. We can have the discussion going, and thank you so much for watching. And if you're brand new here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my page, and hit that notification bell. And Chelsea explain this out. Peace.